you are doing wireless site survey, there are two important steps you need to do before your site survey. One important step is actually you need to make sure your APs are advertising its name in the beacon frame. Sometimes we call this feature AP name broadcast. The other important aspect is, like while doing your site survey, your AP should not go and change the channel or change the power level. So sometime if your environment using automatic algorithm, we generally prefer to freeze those algorithm. In that way, during your survey, those APs and channel will not going to be changed. So now in this particular video, I will be covering one important aspect, the AP name broadcast. Specifically, if you have a UniFi wireless environment, this feature has been enabled very recently. In that way, I just walk through the importance of this feature and how you enable this in a UniFi access point. So now in my home environment, I have a 3 UniFi access point. As you can see, this example of a site survey result, you can see I filtered to my home SSID, MR and CCIW. So once I do that, it will show me 3 AP, but those 3 AP appear with some MAC addresses detail. You can see here, so now if you are the sort of a wireless engineer, so then your job is to manually find out the real name and map those real name before you present it to the customer. You just would like to customer will not understand this MAC address detail, which AP is which. In that way, your job is to correlate those. In that way, now this is a bit of cumbersome task, time consuming. So now not only the site survey, sometime when you're doing a troubleshooting, let me show that as well. So now if I show you this is a Wi-Fi Explorer, like in this particular view, you can see whenever you go and analyze a given environment, so you can see there are 3 access point in 5 gigahertz I am looking at. So you can see there's a one AP there in channel number 132, another AP on channel number 100, and then another AP on the channel number 60. So same detail you can see, but then device name, you can see it's not appearing because this information is not being broadcast in a beacon frame. For example, now if I show you some other access point, if I got MR and PSK, now that one, they clearly identifying my APs, AP178. This is the name I gave this AP. In this example, the Cisco AP. Cisco had this particular feature for a very long time because they, enterprise vendors point of view, they had this particular feature very long time. So you can enable that feature. If you go to a particular SSID under advanced setting, you can see here something called Aeronet IE. So if I basically turn on that particular feature, advertise AP name will be automatically advertising. Okay. In that way, some vendors basically preferred not to advertise AP name because sometime AP name indicating the location of the AP. If that is the case, at least before doing a site survey or troubleshooting exercise, it's important to enable this during the time of site survey. Okay. But now UniFi point of view, this feature, if I go here and basically show this, now if you go to wireless, settings and under the Wi-Fi, so you can see I have defined multiple SSID. So this setting will be enabled per SSID basis. So now what I'm going to do is, this MR and CCIW, if I click that one, if I scroll down, you can see here at the end, there's something called show access point name in beacon. So now you can maximum supported 32 characters in ubiquity point of view. Once you will, select this option, it will be advertising AP name up to 32 characters. But Cisco point of view, the basically maximum length is 15 characters. In that way, different AP vendors have a different limitation there. So that way, best practice is your AP name should be limit to 15 characters maximum. In that way, whichever the vendor's AP fit into that, in that way, you will not face any limitation. In that way, as another sort of a side best practice, so you have a AP naming scheme, make sure your AP length AP name length limit to 15 characters if you think about all these different vendors. But now ubiquity point of view, you can go up to 32 characters. They will advertise that. So now I will apply that change there into this particular SSID. So let me just go into the other MR and CCIW as well. I will apply now, just for my, let's say apply changes. So band steering require at least 2 band. Okay, that means I accidentally maybe click hit here. Apply changes. So I apply that change and then MR and U as well, just to enable this feature. So that way, and these are the 3 my custom SSID, I enable that particular feature. So now ideally, now if I go to the my, so let me just again say don't save. Ideally now if I select the 5 gigahertz, it should see MR and CCIW. Let's give a little bit of time. So you can see now MR and UAP number 1, it appeared here. Previously you didn't see this particular name. Okay, that way. Now let me just see, now in here as well, because I enable that feature across all the AP, this should be appearing as well. So now just to make sure, you can see at least UAP 1 AP, I can see it. Now let's filter for 5 gigahertz. That's what previously we were looking at. So in the 5 gigahertz still I cannot really see it, but 6 gigahertz definitely we saw this UAP name 1 will be appearing. So even ideally 5 gigahertz beacons as well, you can see it's being advertised. So now just to check, let me just go ahead and take a quick packet capture and show this in Wireshark as well, how the information element goes. So now my AP is operating in 5 gigahertz, channel number I saw earlier 132. Now if I show you the site survey detail as well, if I selecting the MR and CCIW, 5 gigahertz my APs are channel number 60, 100 and 132. But if I want to basically simply show you a packet capture 5 gigahertz, channel number 100, probably I may need to, this is channel number 100. If I stop the capture, let me show in the Wireshark. This is a capture we took today, 2:41 p.m. So I'm just simply looking for a beacon frame. So you can see I have a beacon frame MR and CCIW. So if I collapse all, if I expanded these tag parameters, I should see something called device name. Now in here vendor specific. Now these are vendor specific attribute. Ideally, device name, I can't really see it clearly on this access point. But now let me just go to a particular channel where we saw AP name being broadcast. Now this one you can see channel number 132. It says, now even 132, you can see I am broadcasting that AP name. So let me just go ahead and take a packet capture on channel number 132 and show you that difference, 5 gigahertz, 80 megahertz, number 132. It's okay to go ahead and disconnect, and I am taking a few seconds worth of packet capture. And then if I go to Wireshark again, so now this time 2:42, which matches my timestamp. Now in here, if we look at so now Ubiquiti AP vendor specific data is a QoS information. That's not maybe vendor specific, maybe this element here, like so one of these, like if you can't really see the device name kind of separate element. So now we are looking at channel 132. Okay, MR and CCIW. Let me just collapse all. Look once again, like SSID, RSN information, mobility domain, extended capability. So now one of this vendor specific information, but I have to look, like there are one element there, two element there. Typically it will be advertised as a AP name, but now I can not see like a device name kind of element there. In that way I had to basically look exactly under which element they're advertising that, like so now you can see here clearly device name being detected. Now let me just see advanced detail here, and under where this device name, yeah, you can see here that's the last element, AP name. You can see here using element number 221. If you expand that, you can see it here. That's where the device name being advertised. So that will be the last element, maybe the, like under vendor specific element. One AP name being advertised there. So that may be the way they're decoding MR and UAP number 3. So that means this information here, more likely, this is basically the AP name, MR and UAP3. In that way, as you saw, it's, like important steps, like in that way, if you are troubleshooting Wi-Fi or even you are doing site survey, make sure AP name is advertised in the beacon frame. So now in the release point of view, this has been recently released. So now if I want to show you, like which releases this feature, like if I look at a sort of a, like a UniFi Network Application, I think it has come in like a 10.167. So I'm running an early access kind of release. Sometime if you are running a public release, probably this feature may be not there. But in here, if I search, like you can see, I can find some references here, access point, name in beacon frame. Like I can see some of those in the release note. In that way, it's a quite useful feature, especially if you have enterprise Wi-Fi. You have a large number of access points. When you do site survey or troubleshoot, you would like to see the AP name clearly rather than you go and MAC address base and try to correlate which access point is which. Okay, so now let's see in Ekahau point of view whether we can see those kind of AP name changes. So now in here, I basically went to like a survey tab. My sidekick is connected to my laptop at the moment. Even though I'm not working, I pretended like I'm working. So you just click here and you just say, example, I just want to pretend some survey path, and I just right click here, and then you can see I'm pretended like I have done a survey. Now if you go to a inspect kind of tab, I would like to see whether if I select the MR and CCIW SSID, so that this is my network. I want to select that SSID and see if I select the AP name. Like Ekahau point of view, it appeared to be, like they're not, able to read that sort of a special element there and detecting as a ubiquity AP name. So typically now, if I basically show you, typically how now this may be basically recently being advertised, this particular feature. So now Ekahau maybe need to update it, to read that UniFi AP name in that particular vendor specific element. But you can see it is not, even 2.45 gigahertz. So it is not seeing that information element as a, like a AP name. So now if I go back to the sort of Wireshark capture, so now this element taking as a AP name, probably I'm sure Ekahau need to update their software just to read this element, this information. Let me just see the hex detail here. So if I go to the view, maybe Wireshark preferences, I would go to a layout, packet bytes. I would like to see the detail. You can see I want to show you this information here. So you can see here in the inside that you can see MRNU AP number 3. Okay. So that's definitely the last element here. This is the element broadcast in the AP name. So I'm sure now Ekahau point of view, they need to update to look at this element, this vendor specific element, and show that as a ubiquity access point name. In that way you get the idea, like sometime it's quite useful feature. So make sure, if you have a UniFi environment, at least before doing site survey troubleshooting, enable this AP name in each SSID. If you're concerning about security feature, security kind of thing, you don't want to let anybody know the AP name, you can disable this feature after troubleshoot or after site survey. But I would like to keep that on, because unless you're concerning about this information being visible in the beacon frame. So I hope, you get the idea. It's a quite useful sort of feature to know to make your life easy in wireless troubleshooting point of view. Until I see you in another video, happy studying or happy learning Wi-Fi. Take care.